Wait, G, have you watched the Mandalorian season 3 or no?
Yeah, I finished it.
What do you think of it?
To me, it was kind of a miss. It just feels like nothing happened the whole season. There were cool moments in the season 3 finale. The only like part of the finale that actually shocked me a little bit was when the Darksaber got destroyed. And I was like, what? Are you serious? Because I was like kind of bummed a little bit. That's like my favorite lightsaber ever. And then it's like just destroyed now. I kind of, in some ways, I guess, liked that they did that. I don't want to say liked that they destroyed it, but like liked that they added that in order to show the Mandalorians aren't about just the Darksaber, or like keeping them together isn't simply just about the Darksaber. It's about more than that. But that was really like, that was such a small moment in the show. So I don't know. Yeah, my overall review would be it kind of just felt slow moving. Season 2 was probably my favorite so far.
I feel probably similar to how you feel. Like, there's definitely some really cool moments throughout the show. I think, again, Disney has no idea how to name their shows, and the show probably could have easily been called Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
It would have been way more accurate, and Boba Fett should have been season 3 of Mandalorian.
Star Wars Theory was talking, he made a comment, and I feel like I totally relate to it. He's like, it just kind of irritates me that my favorite moment, or my favorite bit of content of The Mandalorian wasn't even in his own show, it was in the Book of Boba Fett. The best moment of The Mandalorian we got was that episode with Grogu training with Luke. So I don't know, and I agree. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't even technically the Mandalorian show; it was Boba Fett's show, and it had absolutely nothing to do with Boba Fett in those episodes.
And like this one was, I feel like, more about Bo-Katan than it was about the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Which, like, I thought there was some cool stuff, but
yeah, what it felt like to me was Disney just had massive creative control over the whole season.
Yeah,
it felt out of place.
The worst thing ever. It was so boring. The one with the doctor guy or whatever.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And
Rachel and I were talking about that.
Have it lead up to like a 1 second scene of her talking to Moff Gideon. It's like, okay, that was literally, you used the whole episode to say,
yeah,
this person's betraying this guy because she's still part of the Empire, and then
even Moff Gideon's a little cheesy to me because I don't really think he's that intimidating of a villain.
No, not at all.
Yeah, like I don't get the hype around Moff Gideon at all. But
yeah, and like he was cloning himself, and I'm like, okay, he's like an old man. Like he's not gonna be physically strong or anything.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was kind of cheesy, but
yeah, like
yeah, the episode 3, like the first two, I'm like, okay, there's like at least cool stuff happening, and then 3 was like big old poop.
Oh jeez, I know.
And then because literally nothing happens, or nothing that anyone should care about happens. And then 4 was kind of cool.
What was episode 4?
4 starts out with what I called the Mandalorian summer camp, where Grogu fights the other little Mandalorian kid, and then they're all just hanging out there on that planet. But then they go and save Paz's little son or whatever.
Oh yeah, from the bird creatures.
Kind of, like, turn him to their side a little bit more, or become his friends. I thought that was kind of cool. Not my favorite one. 5.
My favorite episode was probably the one where all the Mandalorians fought on Mandalore, but not the last one. The one, I think it was the second to last episode.
Yeah. 7 and 8 were, I feel like, I don't even know what happened in each one, but they're both like okay. And then 6 was also just so stupid. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it just...
6
I
wasn't
don't know.
as pointless as 3, but it was still
pointless. Yeah, it felt like there was just like way too much creative control on the episode. Because, I don't know, I just had this sense that like Jon Favreau was trying to do something and it just didn't come off right in the show. Like, I don't know how else to explain it other than just like, it just like didn't feel like what it ended up being, I guess? Or I feel like it was supposed to be something more. And Disney was like, no, we need this to focus more on the cloning aspect of it so we can bring it all back to Snoke. Like, I cringed so hard at that. Because obviously that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to bridge the gap. But was episode 3 bridging the gap between such an incredible trilogy? You know, the prequels and the sequels? Is now these shows trying to bridge the gap between a really good trilogy and a really terrible trilogy.
It was better than I expected it to, but I really could not stand the second season. I thought it was terrible. I thought it was literally just nothing happened. Just all side quests, which I feel like is what The Mandalorian is, but...
I feel... I haven't watched the second season since it came out. I never rewatched it, but I feel like I remember liking it. I mean, the end of it was cool, for sure.
Like, seeing Luke Skywalker is literally the only memorable moment, I feel like.
I mean, yeah.
So,
like, that was probably the most memorable.
Besides, they like eat frogs and go to the spider planet, which had no relevance to anything in the story, which is like exactly why it was terrible.
Yeah. Did you watch Andor?
No. I thought about doing it.
Andor was actually really good. I was pleasantly surprised. But it's not at all... Like, you can't expect it to be... I don't know, I'm torn.
Like, is it engaging enough to watch? Like, even if it is in a different way, or is it like, am I gonna feel like...
Yeah, you have to be in the mindset. So the mindset that you have to be in, it's like a political thriller set in the Star Wars universe. Is essentially what it is. So it's like, it's not...
I don't know if I like that.
Right. It's totally different. And like, there's a part of me that gets a little annoyed because as much as Star Wars is a bigger universe and stuff like that, let's be honest, people watch Star Wars because they want to see Jedi fight each other. They want to hear the lore behind, you know, Jedi stuff. Like, nobody really wants to watch a Star Wars show to watch some rando in the galaxy that you've never heard of do some random thing to sort of move the story along. And like, that is a little bit of how it feels.
Or they want to hear about, or they want to actually hear about bounty hunting and like real stories like that, but not like you said.
But even that, like,
not some kid parent.
Mandalorian is, but then it needs to play into something bigger, obviously.
Right, exactly. It needs to play into something bigger. And like, that's what was cool about Rogue One, and obviously, is like you get these characters who seem like they're kind of just nobodies. And it plays into such a massive part of the Star Wars story. Rogue One is probably one of my favorite Star Wars movies ever. It is so well done. I rewatched it after Andor, and it was great. The thing about Andor, though, is Andor is a story about... It's an origin story of one of those characters.
Yeah.
So there's no Jedi. There's no mention really of the Force. But it is very, very lore heavy. It's about like the sacrifices of war, even outside of like a Star Wars perspective. It's like about all the sacrifices that go into a mission like that and a war like that, even outside of the battlefield. And it's done beautifully well, I think. It's a little long for me. Like, I don't know if it really needed to be as many episodes as it was. But it tells a story fantastically. Like, nothing in my mind feels like a side quest in that show. And for that reason, I loved it. like everything builds on itself very well. Like there isn't these random like, oh, let's go to this planet and do this random thing once. Like that just doesn't happen from my perspective.
Yeah. Okay, okay. I can usually trust what you say about Star Wars pretty well.
Try not to be biased here.
Because some people are just like, they love Star Wars, they know a lot about it, but they're like,
yeah, just
still
like because it's
about it, it's like,
yeah,
it's
yeah, it's like it's Star Wars, so it's good.
Yeah.
And
like
like
I want to be that, but it's not good.
I was like that, I think, until episode 9 hit. And then after episode 9, I was like, I cannot be like this anymore because that's just unacceptable what they did.
I feel like you said you didn't like episode 8 too.
No, when episode 8 came out, I said I liked it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And to be fair, even rewatching episode 8, there are parts of it that I can appreciate. Like he was at least trying to step out and try something new. Versus J.J. Abrams literally just being like, oh, we need to please the crowd in any way possible. Like, that was just absolutely disgusting what episode 9 was. Because it was like, it was just so lukewarm and, I don't know, it was terrible. And, like I said, season 3 of The Mandalorian, there were a lot of parts in it where I felt like it was random fluff that didn't add to the story at all. And it just felt like Disney had their hands in it again. And I'm like, if Jon Favreau had his way to make this exactly like how he wanted it, I just had this feeling like it would have been different. Yeah, so I'm just going to choose to believe that because I have faith in him as a director. Who knows? Maybe it really just was kind of a jank story. I don't really know.
I mean, literally, if they cut episode 3 and 6, like, the show was, like, that's a pretty solid season, honestly. I don't think it would have been like stellar or like top notch by any means, but it would have been a good show.
Yeah.
But I don't care about
Jack
Black and his planet, and I don't care about.
Yeah, like it was funny seeing Jack Black. I love Jack Black, but again, had absolutely nothing to do with the story, in my opinion.
But man, when I was watching episode 3, I'm like, dude, they better do something real big with this character. Like, if they're taking all this time and they're sitting there eating their Empire snacks or talking about their Empire snacks they can't eat anymore, like, this better lead somewhere big. And then it just doesn't.
No.
It's like, okay,
I know.
You skip that episode.
Like, maybe somebody just like, we need to expand more on Grogu and I don't know, and have him show how cute he is with Jack Black and Lizzo. Like, I don't understand, but maybe somebody said that for some reason. In one of Star Wars Theory's videos too, he was like, I would have liked it more if Grogu wouldn't have come back. They were like, why did Grogu have to come back? I feel like he... And like, to me, the way the season ended was literally just, oh, they're now just bounty hunters again, just waiting for their next mission.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what Grogu, like, the same species as Yoda, is now just reduced to a cheesy bounty hunter's life?
He's just gonna be picking up frogs, dude.
I guess so. Like, I don't know what that was about. Whereas, like, if he would have stayed with Luke, he would have actually done some cool stuff, probably, I'd like to think. You know, I thought it'd been cool if he does choose to stay the Mandalorian. What if Grogu was the one who got the Darksaber? He could actually use it. He is force sensitive. Like, I was like, that'd be really cool. He's a foundling that's the same species as Yoda, and you know, as the next wielder of the Darksaber, that'd be pretty freaking awesome. And no, they didn't do anything with that.
I feel like that'd be cheesy.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe, like...
As he was, and they're just like, oh, here you go, man.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a fair point. Like, him being as little as he was wouldn't have really made sense for him to just be like, oh, and now I get the Darksaber.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. What is he supposed to do now? He's literally following the Mandalorian around everywhere while he...
It's just a little kid, man. He's got a lot of life ahead of him.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I don't know what the plans are for him. But
I really wish they would have not had him just be a sack of potatoes and they would have like actually animated him, because that really got on my nerves. Like,
oh, how they like kept him as a puppet.
yeah, like I really wish they would have just like animated him.
I agree. I don't know who's out there saying that Yoda looks way better as a puppet than a CGI thing. I don't know if they did that for nostalgia purposes.
Like
but,
at first it would have been fine, but like as soon as he starts like doing stuff actually and like doing action stuff, like after he gets out of his little pod thing, it's like give him legs, let him like actually walk.
Yeah, I agree.
Just float around.
And like, you think they could have done anything in episode 2 or episode 3 with Yoda fighting Count Dooku and Palpatine if he would have just been a puppet? You know how cheesy that would have been?
No, that was horrible.
Like, he can just do so much more if they choose to CGI him.
Yeah. And it's like cool, you CGI him, it looks kind of fake, but at the same time he's an alien that doesn't exist, so
yeah,
no one expects it to look real. I don't know. That was just like, come on, this could be like so much cooler, I feel like.
I know. Yeah, I agree. I think Andor, for the lore aspect of it, certainly worth a watch. It's really cool.
Like, they need to be good enough shows where they would hold their own, where I don't care if it was Star Wars or not.
Yeah.
Like, if I watch Andor and I get like lost in the fact that I'm like, dang, I'm so interested in the politics of this, like it could be Star Wars or it could not be, then I'd be like, yeah, this is a good show.
Yeah, and there are certainly parts like that, I think, in Andor, where it's like you do kind of, it's very like politically heavy, and like but I mean that's kind of like what episode 2 was of Star Wars.
Yeah.
However, like again, you won't have the Jedi battles and stuff to even it out and give it like some action. Like the little bit of action that is in there is pretty cool, but it's you know, it's not a Jedi battle. And they're like, from my perspective, I'm like, why can't we get back to that? Why was that like why was that something that we all of a sudden walked away from? Like, why haven't we expanded more on like the Old Republic era and made that live action? Like, that'd actually be awesome to see.
Yeah. I think that's everyone's question. It's like you have so much source content that's too inspiring, telling these stories.
Yeah, well that, and like, oh jeez, and like my perspective is like, I don't know who's making these like creative decisions on like what to choose for content, but I don't really think it's any secret what the fans want. Yeah. It's just Disney and like all these companies are so out of touch. Like Obi-Wan should have been so easy to get right, because number one, you have so much content to work with, and the actors that you're working with are the OGs. They're perfect. Like there's no way you should have that feel boring and like filler. That should, like, every episode should be like, no way, that's a thing. And like, I don't know, even just me, I'm not a huge fan of like the era, like I don't know what you want to call it, the era after episode 6 and beyond era. When like they're just starting to rebuild the Jedi and stuff, and like that's kind of cool, I guess. But like I'd love to see a show that like goes back to like Coruscant's prime.
Like, actually did it, you know, like actually started rebuilding the Jedi. I feel like everything is just like,
yeah, it's all just like a bunch of failed attempts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like a character like Luke to have gone from being absolutely nothing and to have grown up as someone who like never had parents, never had a family really, and then to go from like sense of like, oh, I failed on one Padawan out of like this whole school that I was creating, I might as well just like exile myself. Yeah, like what is that?
Just the last straw, dude.
Like they all become deadbeats. besides Leia, I guess, like she actually still progresses and tries to make something better of the galaxy. But like Han just completely gives up, ditches his wife, just runs off with Chewie and does who knows what. Like, what is that? Like, how could you make... And Han's character started
in space like Leia, you gotta do something.
Yeah, it's like if Han's character started as somebody who was kind of like a deadbeat and like had no direction, and he became a hero, why would he just default back to that after completely changing who he was once? And like growing from it and learning from it. And like realizing like how much better his life could be with purpose. Like that's how he found Leia. That's how he found Luke. That's how he got a son in the first place. And then to just be like, oh geez, I'm gonna die by this guy. And then to just be like, oh well, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm going back to doing nothing with my life. I don't know. Just makes me mad that they would do that in episode 7 or episode 7. Yeah, so those are my thoughts. Far from boring, I would say. Like, I'd rather watch that than the Bad Batch. That's gonna sound extreme to people to say that, but like in my opinion, the Bad Batch is just terrible. It is so boring.
Are you sure? That sucks, man, to hear because I've literally. Dang it, dude! I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in. I was gonna go back and finish it. I just haven't picked it up.
Of what? What season, Lars?
Bad Batch, the first one.
Okay, let me tell you this. The best episodes in season 1 are the very first episode, in my opinion, is the best episode. The second best episode. The second best episode is the last episode. However, the last episode could have been episode 2, in my opinion. Like it did not need to take that long, and season 2 is just I don't know.
I feel like
I don't
if
get
you're
it.
honest though, that's how Clone Wars is too. There's just much more interesting.
Yeah, I was talking to Rachel about that as well, because yeah, Clone Wars is like that basically until season 3, basically. In a lot of ways, I don't want to say every way, but I'm dead. But yeah, like season 3 is when it starts to really get good, and even then there's still a lot of filler. It's like if I was gonna create a handful of episodes that I wanted somebody to watch, and I was like, you cannot miss these because it's like the best Star Wars content ever, it would probably be about 10, maybe 20 episodes out of all the seasons of Clone Wars.
I feel like that though is a little bit different because it's like almost like a cartoon. And how many episodes does Clone Wars have every season? Like I feel like it follows much more like suited with like a weekly
show, right? Yeah.
Show.
Yeah, and it's like something like that is a little more acceptable for filler and whatnot. Yeah, I don't remember numbers exactly, but
like although there was that, it didn't feel horrible. I feel like, or at least when I watched it.
How many did you say, Michael?
133.
Yeah, I wanted to say it was like close to 20 something an season, and then with the first seasons being slightly less, obviously. Yeah, but in my opinion, the Bad Batch is just a totally skippable show at this point because none of the lore really matters. Even the Bad Batch themselves are just kind of wandering, trying to figure out what they want to do. What they want to do in the galaxy. So like they're half bounty hunters, half looking out just for themselves, half trying to protect whoever whoever they deem as like the good people on whatever planet they're on at any given point in time. I don't know. I don't really get it. It's supposed to be a show, like it's obvious that it's a show centered around like family and stuff. But like the characters just feel so dry to me.
I don't know. I haven't felt like the beginning of the first episode is cool. But then
Yes.
I was like watching. I'm like, this is like 30 minutes, right? And then I'm like trying to go to bed, and it's like I have 40 minutes left. I'm like, what the heck? This is an hour and 15 minutes.
Did you watch Tales of a Jedi?
I did. I definitely like don't remember some of it already though, because I think I watched it while I was running or something, and I maybe wasn't paying the most attention to it. But I did watch it.
Tales of a Jedi was great. And it annoyed me that there were only like 15-minute long episodes. It's almost like Star Wars keeps dangling that, oh, hey, we do have good content. Hold out for it. Hold out for it. And then just like smacks you in the face with filler. And I'm like, you've proven to me that you can have good content. Why not just keep doing that? Like, you know what stuff we like.
But again, they just like, that's them using old stuff, and they just don't do that.
I don't know, though, because I feel
characters.
like, well, yeah, old characters. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, old characters. Yeah.
Like the Count Dooku stuff with Palpatine, like that was awesome. But also we already like knew that happened pretty much. But
it was cool to see it. And
it was
they
cool.
did
That's what I
expand
mean,
on a
though.
lot
Like,
of things that we didn't know.
Yeah, but I'm saying like we care about that, and we care about those characters, so it's like a free win almost.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know though, because that's what the Obi-Wan show
really
should have
well
been.
Done. What
Like,
other show?
That's what the Obi-Wan Kenobi show should have been. Like, you're working literally with Ewan McGregor and Hayden
I think
Christensen.
that was better than like most of the other stuff that they put out.
Well, yeah,
But
it was
again,
far
that
from bad,
might be-
for sure. But it wasn't at all what it should have been, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there was plenty of still dumb stuff in it.
Yeah.
But again, maybe that's what they need to do. They don't have enough content. They have to make 15-minute episodes, and that's all they have content for. Because I feel like that's what they're running into, is they just don't have good enough writers to create creative stuff to fill a whole show. It's like, again, like we're saying, Mandalorian could have been 5 episodes long and would have been a better show. But because they made it longer and don't have writers good enough to fill space with interesting stuff, then it's not good. So Obi-Wan probably would have been a better show if it was like 3 episodes.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Well, you know, it was originally created to be a trilogy, or maybe not even a trilogy, maybe just one movie. I think it was supposed to be a trilogy. I'd have to look at that again, but it wasn't meant to be like 6 hours worth of content into a show. Like, yeah, you're right. I don't think there needs to be this many Star Wars shows. Like, just leave it at movies. Because, yeah, there's probably just way too much content that they have to fill, and they're literally just filling it with crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they want people to use their platform or
yeah. Disney
their
Plus.
streaming service. Yeah, they want that more than they want to put out a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Didn't they announce that they are putting out a new movie, a new trilogy?
Dave Filoni apparently is green. He was greenlit to make a live action film that will be in theaters. Oh, and I was also going to say, I'm hoping that the reason why Bad Batch is kind of a snooze fest is because he's spending so much time on Ahsoka, making it good. I'm really hoping that's the reason.
Yeah, if Ahsoka sucks, that's gonna really suck.
Yeah, I'm gonna really lose a lot of faith in Star Wars if Ahsoka's terrible. Yeah, the only thing that sort of irritates me about the Ahsoka show, even obviously not having seen anything yet, is the fact that Thrawn is the primary antagonist. I don't really think Thrawn is that intimidating either. Like,
really?
there were scenes where like they kind of made him out to be like a bad guy, I guess in Star Wars Rebels. But even then, he was never like. He's like nowhere near like the level of manipulation that Palpatine is, or like level of evil that Darth Maul is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you read the books, He's definitely a lot of people's like favorite character. That you know, Star Wars that read it. Like my worship pastor, like Thrawn's like one of his top favorite characters, but also he's read like every Star Wars book.
Who's that, Josh?
No, my worship pastor at my church.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. And yeah, to be fair, I really haven't read a lot of Star Wars books. So I don't know much about the lore. But I really appreciate them because I feel like there's been so much good content that have come from books that they've like taken inspiration from.
Put that dude 100. Just jump
100.
out. Got it?
100 him. Yep.
Did you get him or no? Yeah.
Oh, I got him, dude. I put him in his tomb.
Well, I hit him 100, dude. I helped you put him in.
Right.
Yeah, anyway. I just go off about Star Wars lately. Since forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Thrawn is like as good as everybody says he is, then I'm excited. I think Ahsoka should be good. And I think like Ahsoka is Dave Filoni's character. He created her, he developed her into what she is. And so I feel like he would be the one putting everything he's got into the show to make it like really be representative of who she would have evolved into at this point in time.